Okay, class. Today we're going to focus on pronouns and antecedents. This is a PowerPoint that I've used before that I will post on Edmodo for you, and so you can actually go through it there separately from the video as well when you're going through reviewing for the AP class. I very specifically today said that I would also go through begging the question in the video, and I'm not going to do that today. I'll do it tomorrow with the sentence structure one. Because I need the full 15 minutes for the pronouns and antecedents. Okay, so first of all, we look at this idea of what is a pronoun. So we're going to look at it from three different from aspects. We're going to look at the idea of it, why it matters, and then we're going to practice, and then we're going to do the same thing with antecedents. Okay, so the first thing is a pronoun is a word that is used in place of a noun or another pronoun. Okay, so it replaces it like the Mrs. Kirkman, the person's name, the building, the idea of the school. So it takes that idea. So a pronoun specifically refers to a person, a place, a thing, or an idea, just like a noun does, because that's the definition of a noun, is a person, place, thing, or idea. So a pronoun refers to one of those. And you actually see the silly little pictures down here: a person, a place, a thing, and an idea. Okay, the word that a pronoun refers to is called its antecedent. So if we look at this sentence here, Ramon visited Death Valley and he was impressed. So the pronoun is he, and he refers back to Ramon. So instead of saying Ramon visited Death Valley and Ramon was impressed, we take out Ramon and we replace it with he, but we know that he actually is Ramon. So it kind of keeps us from having to say it twice, and that's what the antecedent is. Okay, pronouns such as we, I, he, them, and it are called personal pronouns. They refer to a specific person. And that's what we're mainly talking about when we're talking about antecedents. So we're mainly talking about the personal side of the pronouns themselves. Now, pronouns come in a variety of forms. They indicate different persons, they indicate different numbers, and they indicate different cases. I'm going to hit all three of these in the next couple of slides. Now, first of all, if we talk about person, so it's their first person pronouns, second person, and third person pronouns. Each have a singular and a plural. So we have the person, is it first, is it second, or is it third? And then we have the singular. So if we're looking at the chart here on this page as it's loading, if you're looking at the difference between the singular and the plural, so the first person is I went out versus the we left early. So the I and the we, you have the fact that they're both first, so that you're included in it. If you're included in it, it's the first person. If it's the second person, it's someone else that's included in it, but you're not a part of it. So you're referring to someone far away or away from you. Now look at here, the plural and the singular are the same, but the aspect of the everything else is either singular or plural. Then third person, he came by bus or they came by car. This is he, she, it, and the plural is they, them, idea of including more than one person. Okay, each personal pronoun then has three cases. So we talked about the person, which is the first, second, third. We talked about the number, which is the singular and plural. And now we're going to talk about the three cases. What I mean by three cases is the subject, the object, and the possessive, as in how the pronoun is actually used. So, or the function of the pronoun in the sentence. So in the first one, we have it that the pronoun is functioning as a subject. So he read about Death Valley. So the he is the subject, so meaning that's the first case. Julie asked him about the rocks. Him is the object. It's who you're asking. So it's the object case. Okay, and the last one, Ramon bought his book. And this is the possessive case. So it's showing the idea of the possession of who the book belongs to. Okay. Pronouns then help you talk about people concisely when you're telling a story. So you're not constantly repeating their names, and you're not constantly repeating the names of locations and such. So let's do some practice. The next 4 slides have some practice sentences. I want you to write these down on your notebook and to go along with it. I'm not going, I mean, I'm going to give you the answers, but I'm not going to actually write anything or circle anything on here because my pen doesn't work on this particular slide. So the instructions say write the personal pronoun in the sentence below. What I want you to do is write down the sentence, and then I want you to circle the personal pronoun. Okay, Death Valley is famous for its strange moving boulders. So remember, you're looking for the personal pronoun. Okay, he, she, it, they, I, we, any of those. In this case, it's its. Okay, I'm not looking at antecedents right now. We're just looking at personal pronouns. And anytime you need to stop to write down the sentences, that's okay. But I want you to have these sentences in your notes as practice. There's possibly the sentences might come up again, but it's good that you have them in your notes, notated properly, so if you have notes on your test for Friday, that you can actually see how they're being noted. Okay, the next one. I want you to write the personal pronoun again in the sentence. The rocks slide and leave long tracks behind them. Okay, the rocks slide and leave long tracks behind them. Okay, write that in and circle the personal pronoun. Okay, in this case, the personal pronoun is them. Okay, now the last two, I'm not going to actually give you the answers for. I want you to practice and try this on your own. Again, writing down the personal pronoun. Do you know why this happens? And again, if you need to pause it, you can. Oh, there's only 3 examples, okay? Do you know why this happens? Okay, so now we're going to look at antecedents. The antecedent, like I'd already mentioned, is what the noun or pronoun that a pronoun replaces or refers to. So it's looking back at it. Okay, now we have to make sure that our pronouns and antecedents agree. So if we have this idea of a singular pronoun, it needs to refer to a singular antecedent. So looking at this, one story has its setting in Egypt. So we see that the story is singular because we're only talking about one story, and we see that the its is singular, so they match, so they agree. This is pronoun and antecedent agreement. If we were to write one story has their or has them setting in, or has them their stories has its setting in Egypt, doesn't fit because the their stories is plural, but the its is singular. So keeping that in mind is important. So you use a plural pronoun to refer to a plural antecedent. So the characters have their motives for murder. So again, characters is plural, so the personal pronoun we're using is their. Okay? And we do this because instead of saying the characters have characters' motives for murder, we're replacing that and having that antecedent in there. Okay. So, looking at another one, the pronoun must agree in person with the antecedent. Lewis likes his mysteries to have surprise endings. So this is third person, so the pronoun, or so this is a person, so the pronoun must be third person. If you're talking about yourself, then it's going to be different. You're going to have an I or a my or a we, depending on what the antecedent is that it goes back to. But in this case, because it's someone else, it's third person, and we have the his matching in that aspect. Okay, the gender of the pronoun must also be the same as the gender of its antecedent. So like in the last one we saw here, let me go back, Lewis likes his mysteries. If we can't put Lewis likes her mysteries because Lewis is a guy and not a girl, so it must match in gender as well. So personal pronouns have 3 gender forms. We have the masculine, the he, his, and him. We have the feminine, which is the she, her, and hers. And we have the neuter, or what we like to call the neutral. Okay, so it could refer to either side of them, the it and the its. Okay, Agatha Christie sets many of her stories in England. This is feminine, so Agatha Christie is feminine, so we need to make sure her pronoun matches. The same thing down here. The hero has to use all his wits to solve the crime. So hero here can be masculine or feminine, but in this case we usually refer to it as a masculine unless we have it stated that it's feminine. Okay, in your writing, you will sometimes refer to several people or groups of people, so you need to make sure that you have the correct pronoun and antecedent agreement because it will help your readers keep track of who is who in your writing. Okay, now the worksheet that I gave you is specifically just pronouns and antecedents. It's not pronoun and antecedent agreement, which is something we will, I'll give you some practice with in class tomorrow. And possibly a worksheet for tomorrow night as well. Okay, so I want you to write these down in your notes. So we're continuing. So we've already done sentences 1, 2, and 3, and now we're going to focus on the last couple of sentences. So you need to write the pronouns and their antecedents in the sentences. So I want you to still write the full sentence, but then I want you to like circle them and draw an arrow if you can. It depends on how far you write it down. So in this case, Agatha Christie loved real-life mysteries of the past. She helped to investigate them in the Middle East. Now, even though this is 2 separate sentences, because we have a pronoun here, it needs an antecedent. We need to know who she is and who we're referring back to. So as you're writing these out, circle Agatha Christie and circle she, and if you can, draw an arrow from one to the other. Now, they both agree. This is a woman, this is a feminine pronoun. So we have that correct. Okay. Number 5, again with the same thing, making sure you have, write the sentence and then circle the pronoun, circle the antecedent, and draw the arrow. Agatha Christie and her husband went on many archaeological trips and found them exciting. Now here you have several pronouns here. So we have Agatha Christie is one of our antecedents. So if it's her husband, so it's her referring back to Agatha Christie. But we also have down here, we have the them, because we're referring both back to Agatha Christie and referring to her husband. So that gets us the plural aspect. So this one's singular because it's referring just to her, and it's feminine because it's referring to a girl, but the them here is neuter or neutral, and it's plural because it's referring to Christie and her husband. Okay, and the next one. A mystery writer may use exotic places and backgrounds for his or her stories. Okay, go ahead and write it down, and then I want you to circle the pronouns and circle the antecedent, and then draw the arrow if you have the space. Okay. Now, first of all, we're looking for the personal pronouns. We have his and we have her. So this one has 2 pronouns, but they both have the same antecedent. The idea here is that because we don't know the writer, if they're male or female, so instead of assuming, the author of this sentence put both his and her. So the antecedent here is writer, and since they are singular, one person, but we're not sure of the if it's masculine or feminine or neuter, we go with the neuter aspect and put the his or the her. Okay, the last sentence for practice. Christie started Murder in Mesopotamia in the desert, but she finished it in England. I'll give you a little hint on this one. This one has 2 different sets of pronoun and antecedent. Okay, so now that I've given you a moment to try, we're going to look first at our first pronoun, she. Now, first of all, we have to figure out what she is referring to. So we need the feminine person that it refers back to, and in this case, referring back to Christie. Again, it's still Agatha Christie, but it's still Christie. And it's singular because it's just one girl, and so this is one girl, so they agree. Now, the other pronoun we have is it. Now, it refers back to the name of the book, Murder in Mesopotamia, because that's what the it is. So she finished it in England, as in the idea of she finished her book there. Okay? Homework is the worksheet for tonight, and be prepared for a little pop quiz on this tomorrow in class. Have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow.